Dance is like a physical conversation, a dialogue between partners in which forbidden desires can be expressed, unspoken thoughts explored, and hidden dreams revealed. Whether it's the flirtatious beginning of a romance or the pulse-pounding expression of passion, the temperature's rising in Uberguide's countdown of the world's hottest dances. Las Vegas is all about the glitz and glam. From the fabulous hotels on the Strip and the world-famous casinos to the amazing nightlife and superb entertainment. But of all the iconic things Sin City is known for, there's nothing that tops the showgirl. Uberguide's number 10 pick on our countdown of the world's hottest dances. Principally known as a Las Vegas attraction, showgirl dancing began in Europe with heavy influence from Parisian music halls and didn't cross the Atlantic until the 1950s. When it arrived in the US, it morphed into a unique blend of American musical theater, Broadway stage gala, and Hollywood film. Today, the pinnacle for any showgirl is to perform in Vegas at Bally's Don Arden's Jubilee, a $50 million stage production.
When you think of Las Vegas, you always think fabulous production shows, which is what we are. We're legendary. We are the epitome of a Las Vegas production spectacular.
Don Arden's showgirls are the best, because if they aren't, they don't have a job.
We audition every 6 months to keep our jobs here. You really have to be ready for it when you come into this show.
The original Vegas showgirls weren't required to dance and didn't have much training. But that's all changed now.
I've been taking ballet from the time I was a kid. Then I went to get my Bachelor of Fine Arts at Florida State University in dance. And I spent my summers in New York on scholarship at the Martha Graham School.
You have to be a minimum of 5'8" for a female dancer and 5'11" for a male dancer. The stage that we dance on is huge, so anybody out there, you need to have them much bigger, and of course the costumes can be quite large, so you don't want to have somebody out there who is so petite they wouldn't be able to carry the costumes.
The costumes are really something else.
Well, here we are in the feather room. These particular costumes are all Bob Mackey's. They all originally cost anywhere between $6,500 and $8,500 27 years ago to make one, and we have 36 of these costumes. This is called a cage. This is the green cage, and the girl literally will step inside of this, and then it's fastened onto her skirt over here with steel rods. There's special pockets built into it. This one is, we call the mohawk. You can see it's probably about a good 3 foot tall.
There's the opening hat that I wear. I call it my surfboard. It is huge, and it's probably about 6 pounds, and that's not even the heaviest headpiece in the show.
But what makes a showgirl dance routine truly spectacular? It's the sensual nature of their performances.
The very opening of the show, you've got the revolves come up, and we have 16 showgirls on the revolves, but they're topless. And you can hear that reaction from the audience. You hear that, oh, because there it is.
I think about being elegant and sophisticated and sexy at the same time. So you definitely want to be confident and just feel like a beautiful woman.
It's not gratuitous. It's not, you know, something that you're going to feel dirty afterwards when you see the show. You're going to get more of a sensuous type of a feeling from the girls who were showgirls in the show.
Audience members definitely see the show of a lifetime.
We want them to feel exuberant when they leave the theater. We want them to walk out and say, wow, I have never seen anything like that in my life. We want them to walk out amazed, and they are.
So between the exposed skin, feather boas, exquisite costumes, and sexy moves, there's no doubt showgirl dancing is spicy, which is why it's number 10 on our Uber Dance Countdown. If showgirl dancing pays tribute to the history of Vegas, then acro dancing is undoubtedly the future. Debuting in Sin City in 1992, circus company Cirque du Soleil has become a world-famous hit. They've done more to popularize acro, as it's called, than any other troupe in the world. A style of human movement that incorporates classical dance techniques with precision acrobatic elements. Acro's flair for the dramatic moves an audience along an emotional roller coaster that never lets up. Las Vegas's Big Cirque productions, along with their spin-off competitors, each incorporate this crowd-pleasing style into their shows.
Whether it be the water show of O, whether it be Ka, which is a big acrobatic show, to the Beatles music of Love that takes place, you have many, many. We have spectacle.
The power of these acro spectaculars is magnified by the intricate narratives woven throughout them. Mystère was the first permanent Cirque du Soleil production in the city. It focuses on the origins of life in the universe. The Love Show is Cirque's homage to the best band of all, the Beatles. With a cast of 60, Love relies on acro to explore each of the Fab Four's musical mega hits.
Not just anybody, help, you know I need someone, help.
The secret behind these acro shows is that they often take Olympic-level athletes and transform them into artistic dancing machines.
I was a gymnast when I was younger, and then I turned into a diver when I was about 14. I joined Cirque, which they thought my height and my weight were good enough to be a flyer, so they taught me how to fly, which is something I've never done before. And we have dance classes, we have movement classes, we have math classes to become a character. They teach you all that, the artistic side.
The grandeur of productions like Cirque du Soleil don't rely exclusively upon acro, however. The O Show is an aquatic production that introduces elements of dance into the three-dimensional worlds of space and water. To stage such astounding productions, companies that utilize acro rely upon an incredible array of technical stage gadgetry.
The stage, it's 1.5 million gallons of water. We keep it at about 87 degrees, but the artists are still chilly, so we have to have heating all around the pool to keep everybody warm because they're just constantly jumping in and out.
The show is a treat, a celebration for all your senses.
As a sun sets, desire becomes alive in this world we call humanity.
There's also a sexy side of acro that's definitely for adults only. Cirque's Zoomanity show crafts just about every single variety of sensual movement into an explosive masterpiece. This cabaret-style production fuses desire with dance in the most provocative of ways. Each of the characters has a style uniquely their own that arouses and entertains. Le Rêve is a Cirque-inspired show created by Franco Dragone, the same artistic director behind O.
Every entertaining thing is put into this show and jam-packed. You get to see people flying and swimming and dancing and just having fun.
Le Rêve means the dream in French. It's the journey through the dreams of a character named Wayne.
You get the idea that a girl comes home from a date or some type of an event with her loved one, and she falls asleep, and from then on, it's a journey through a series of wild dreams, from romantic to passionate, intense moments. Pretty much anything you've ever experienced in life, that's what the show takes you through.
Le Rêve also features a special treat, a wicked tango-style aquatic number.
There's a particular scene where there are red shoes that come out of the water, and they are the synchronized swimmers. Around the outside, there's us dancers dancing. It's a tango, so it's very passionate, and a lot of people walk away just remembering the red shoes that came out of the water.
But it's unquestionably acro that puts these shows over the top. From the elegance of showgirl dancing to the postmodern approach of Cirque du Soleil, dance in Las Vegas has come a long way. But its mission is still the same: to dazzle you with incredible sights and the sensuous beauty of the human body. Acro dancing, number 9 on our Uber list. Coming up, the heat of hip-hop fills the screen in Uberguide's countdown of the world's hottest dances. The sophisticated dance spectaculars of Las Vegas are a world away from the seriously intense homies of the hip-hop scene. New York and Los Angeles are two very different cities, but their East Coast and West Coast street dance styles have fused into the smoking hot dance form of hip-hop. Number 8 on our countdown. Hip-hop dance is part of a much larger hip-hop culture that encompasses music, graffiti, and fashion. It's all about personal expression and streetwise attitude.
Hip-hop's all about the essence of street character, emulating that and tapping into your thug, your inner thug, and letting that come out.
Hip-hop actually stands for a lot of things, you know. It's an art form that allows people to speak for themselves, to have an individual identity.
This identity can take many forms. Definitely one of the sexiest, the eye-popping moves of all-girl dance troupes like Stone Fox help define hip-hop as a style that busts down barriers.
Hip-hop is incredibly sexy and incredibly hot, especially when you have a group of girls that can come together and just be masculine and kill it like the guys would. Groove is a basic form of hip-hop, so like just finding that way to sit into your body and just stay connected with the floor and feel the music.
It comes back to just somebody just having fun and just dancing for themselves. It continues and it continues. There's always an evolution when it comes to hip-hop.
As gang violence plagued inner-city neighborhoods in the 90s, new forms of hip-hop dance, like clowning, evolved as a friendlier way to express frustration.
Clowning just started in 1992. It hit the community really hard. It took it by storm. Loose type move, dancing, okay, more real fast at the upper part. Clown walk is more of a gesture, moving.
As part of hip-hop's continuous evolution, clowning spawned a new form called crumping. Through their lightning-fast moves and aggressive improvisations, crumpers suggest the violent dynamics of communities like LA's South Central.
Crumping is more of an intense style type of dance. It's more aggressive, more hardcore, more rugged. Crumping is more solid. You see, it's a more harder move. Oh, that's called puzzles. Hit. It's a good workout. It really takes a lot out of you. If you're doing a hip-hop routine, you can probably do 20 or 30 minutes before like you're really tired. Crumping, you do a good 5-6 minutes, you're tired already. So that's why you gotta stay hydrated, make sure you drink a lot of water, and just try to keep yourself in shape, because it's not easy.
In South Central LA, both clowning and crumping are being used as mechanisms to solve problems. For kids whose lives are veering dangerously close to gangbanging and drugs, dancing is a safe, cool alternative.
There's a couple of kids I really turned around. The mom just came to me like, can you please help my sons? I don't want to lose them to the gang. Those 2 kids are now 2 straight-A students, and they stayed dancing.
The thing that engages me the most is, again, the ability to be myself, not worrying about what people think.
Everybody has, you don't know what kind of frustration they have. It can be a money problem. It can be any kind of frustration, and they're using it. They're using the technique to get through their problem.
At its core, it's the heat of this wicked dance that keeps kids out of crime and hooked on the beat.
Hip-hop is probably one of the hottest dance forms out right now. On TV, on the radio, in the streets, hip-hop is everywhere because it is that amazing.
Whether it's clowning or crumping, new school or freestyle, hip-hop dancing is burning streets, stages, and dance floors around the world. That makes it number 8 on Uberguide's countdown of the world's hottest dances. Argentina is the energy behind our next spectacular dance style. Buenos Aires is the country's largest and most exotic city. Sometimes called the Paris of South America, Buenos Aires is famous for its Euro architecture and hip cultural scene. This is also the place that gave birth to the tango.
Tango is a story of passion and the tension between man and women.
It has that, yes, I want you, no, I don't want you, but yes, I want you to want me. You know, it has that ongoing struggle between man and woman that you find in relationships throughout life, all jam-packed into this one passionate dance.
The songs talk about the passion for homeland, the passion for justice, the passion for truth, and the passion for beauty. There's so many different passions that are involved. Any one of those can take you at any moment.
The tango began in the brothels and back alleys of Buenos Aires, and because of this, it was a tough sell.
It wasn't considered proper for most people of good breeding to dance tango.
Despite its unsavory reputation, tango hit the world stage big time in the 20s and 30s.
Paris embraced it, and you'll find in the history of many countries in Europe, tango and tango music. After that, it didn't really travel anywhere until the early 80s to North America, to Japan. It was a phenomenon, a huge hit.
The tango relies on one simple rule. The woman must follow the man. It may sound sexist, but it's just the way it works.
You have the macho idea that the male leads and the woman follows. So at first glance you think, oh, the woman is submissive and passive and the man is domineering. What's really truly beautiful to me about the dance is that the man actually has there's an incredible kind of softness that comes out of the man, a real vulnerability, and from the woman, an incredible power.
The men have to come up with the steps, but the women also, we have to be able to look like we're following, stay on the same rhythm and step as the boys. So it's a hard job for both.
You could have a dance where the man is like really dominant and throwing you around, and the woman would have to respond to that. Either completely letting go and being submissive and letting herself be thrown around, or standing up to him and coming forward. The dance allows that.
There's two completely different styles of tango. Ballroom competitive style, which is very rigid up top, and it's all about sharp heads and quick feet.
In Europe, they have these enormous, great ballrooms. So because of that, they have these big, broad, sweeping movements. You know, they chew up the floor.
Argentine tango is a very close dance. You don't move too far away from your partner with this one. You definitely stay in a pretty confined space.
Usually the girl's head is on his shoulder, and it's also quick feet, but the girl is just following the guy.
In general, tango revolves around just a few sexy moves.
Much a signature of the Argentine tango is the lady crossing her legs, the cruzado. Forward ocho. This is a figure eight, so the lady is drawing a figure eight. This is led by the man. When the man turns, doing giros, the woman is stepping around him. The upper body, because it's pressed to your partner, we have our upper bodies connected. So your upper body staying tightly with your partner. So all this movement is happening from the waist down.
Tango embodies passion, and it is that emotional conversation that you can have through your body without even speaking.
You're able to express everything, from the most mundane thoughts to the most passionate. It's very rich. You can get that really fast, hot, piquant, vibrant, movement, and then slow it right down into something that's very, very, very quiet and sensual.
Sensuous it is, and that's why tango is number 7. Next, the eroticism of the East reaches a boiling point, and tempestuous Latinos burn up the dance floor. Coming up. From sexy Vegas showgirls to the lightning-fast moves of hip-hop's crumpers, Uberguide is on the hunt for dance forms that set the world on fire. We now slip over to the mystery and exotic excitement of the Middle East. It's here, in what's perceived by the West to be a conservative culture, that one of the sexiest dances has been nourished and cultivated for thousands of years. Number 6 on our Uber list, belly dancing undoubtedly raises more than just a few eyebrows.
The name belly dancing is like a popular name, but it has its more sophisticated name. Oriental dance or raksharki is the name in Egyptian. I think it's the most feminine way for a woman to move her body and dance.
Belly dance is actually a term that was coined at the Chicago World's Fair. So in the Middle East, it's called dance. That's it. And the West, we call it Oriental dance or Middle Eastern dance.
The origins of this sensual dance are a little murky. with competing views about where it came from.
Some people believe it's originated with matriarchal rights and birthing rights. Some people believe it originated in the harems of the Ottoman Empire. Some people believe what you see today as modern belly dancing was invented 20 years ago. So it depends on what you are calling belly dance.
No matter where it came from, it's become a world phenomenon today. Both men and women are doing it.
Certain artists like Beyonce and Shakira have definitely helped to bring the mainstream into belly dancing, because belly dancing, when I started 11 years ago, was still pretty underground. Seeing it in music videos and just, it's everywhere, even in the fashion a little bit.
It seems to answer a lot of issues of today's women about body image, self-esteem, these kinds of things. And it's a way of exercise for some women that is more than exercise. It also addresses the whole being proud of your body. We can be really, truly feminine and powerful at the same time.
Given its ties to ancient times, belly dancing has developed several sub-styles, all of which raise the temperature to scorching.
The thing that we call belly dancing, a lot of the movement is derived from the folklores of different regions. And that could be the Hagala from Asamatru, for instance, which is the girl who becomes, at the age of 13, who becomes a woman. They celebrate that.
When you are a good performer, you are one with the music. You're interpreting all those little intricate sounds that you hear in the music with your body. So if a string of a stringed instrument is vibrating, then you vibrate. And if the drum, they strike the drum, then you strike your hip drop. So you're definitely becoming one with the music.
Every sway of the violin, you'll see through the body.
When you belly dance, you're isolating body parts that you never thought you could isolate. You're using everything from your head to your feet, to your shoulders. And in the beginning, you learn to isolate everything, and then when you're more advanced, you put it all together, you layer.
The costumes are designed with one thing in mind: titillation.
There's the most famous two-piece with the midriff showing, obviously, but there's many other styles of costumes that are one-piece or even elaborate headdresses. There are many props and accessories used in belly dancing. Some are traditional, some are made up in the West, like veils or swords. The zigat, or finger cymbals, a lot of Western dancers use it, and Western audiences tend to really like the finger cymbals. It's a great crowd pleaser. We have canes, the asaya. The cane was used to herd the sheep and the goats.
Belly dancing is set apart from other dance forms, I think, just because it's been around for so long, you know, and it's been around forever, and it's going to continue. I think because it's misunderstood and there's all the sexual connotations, it's bad for the dance, but it's actually good because a lot of people are always curious about it. There's a lot of controversy concerning belly dance, and usually that's interesting for people.
I think belly dancing is very hot, and it's definitely my favorite dance because it's hot.
Belly dancing, movement of the human body designed explicitly to get your fires burning. Our journey to find the hottest dance now takes us to Spain. This is the country that once ruled a massive piece of the globe. It was under a Spanish flag that the New World was discovered in 1492. The history here is rock solid. The Romans, Byzantines, Moors, and Catholics have all played important roles in shaping this uber-gorgeous land. But despite its glorious past, one of Spain's best-known and hippest contributions to the world is the flamenco. The Spanish region of Andalusia is where flamenco first came of age, hundreds of years ago.
All the scholars agreed that there were different cultures that helped to develop this beautiful art form: the Gypsy culture, Christian culture, Islamic culture, and the Jewish culture.
Gypsies living in the Sacromonte neighborhood of the city of Granada actually performed the flamenco in these spectacular caves. This is where the first flames of flamenco passion were ignited. This dance has three important components. Lose one of these and you're definitely not doing the flamenco.
Flamenco, everybody agrees, started with the song. This is the soul of flamenco, the singing part, and the rhythm, of course, what we call compás. The guitar was added and the dance was added later on.
The history of it is that flamenco, the root of it, the very life force of it is the singing.
The singing may be the engine behind the dance, but the guitar player definitely has the toughest job, keeping up to the singer and the dancer.
They have the hardest part, I guess, in flamenco, and they're less glory.
One of the things that's typical of flamenco is our rasgueado, which is, you know, that sort of thing. There's many different ways of doing that. Also, we tap on the guitar. We use a lot of percussion.
The dance itself can get pretty fancy really quick.
The sole of the foot in the floor, the ball of the foot in the floor, heel at the front, point, chaflan. To start working the arms, only the wrist, then we add the fingers, full circle.
Ideally, you have a beautiful dancer like Rosario, and then you have a great singer, and then you have people around you that do great palmas, and when you have all those ingredients, you know, some nights it really cooks.
It makes you think, it makes you explore, forces you to grow.
A passionate dance that undoubtedly touches the soul, flamenco moves the body in a sensual way.
It's an excellent vehicle for a person to express themselves.
Flamenco, tapping in at number 5 on Uberguide's countdown of the hottest dances. Next, here's what happens when East Asian folk meets Hollywood hip-hop. Then, we salsa into the sexiest, most flirtatious dance on the beach. Coming up on Uberguide. Uberguide's search for the world's hottest dances is turning up the heat as we reveal the pulsating hips and fancy footwork that make the heart beat faster. India is an incredible land. The beauty here is undeniable, as is the pace of modernization. This is a nation on the fast track to superpower status. With a history that stretches back thousands of years, India is home to a myriad of cultures and ideas. So it's no surprise then that one of Uberguide's hottest bops is found here. Bollywood dancing, number 4 on our Uber list.
This style of dance is extremely hot. It's got a lot of modern dance influence, it's got jazz influences, it's got its own very distinct style.
Bollywood is India's Hindi language film industry, and it's simply gigantic. Bollywood produces more movies and brings in more cash than Hollywood.
India dishes out at least 1,000 movies every year. There has to be songs, there has to be dance, there has to be drama, lavish sets, costumes, there has to be emotions.
Bollywood for a very long time was known as a poor cousin of Hollywood. They started using the same technique and the same colors and visuals in Hollywood. And you actually see now Bollywood's in the Oxford Dictionary. So it's actually prominence all across the globe.
Of all the elements required for a movie to fit the Bollywood genre, dancing is the one these films can't do without. This dependence on dance has spawned a style all its own.
There is nothing without song and dance. It's a very vital role. The lyrics are written from the soul, from the heart, and that's how they infuse into dance styles.
Indian people are very emotional. They're very family-oriented. So in Bollywood, even the dance has a lot to do with emotion, has a lot to do with expression. If you're saying, let's go, you always have them saying, come on, let's go. If you're sad, you're expressing through dance. If you're confused, if they're having fun, there's always that little, expression with the eyes, with the smile. There's always a fun thing going on.
Every dance form has its own unique identification point. In the Bollywood, the jhatkas and the matkas. Now, the jhatka and the matka actually means moving of your body up and down and moving your pelvic and, a lot of sensuous movement.
To start off, we have the Indian hands, twist your wrist, and it's always a thing of, I'm a star. Then we have peacock fingers. Peacock's the national bird of India. Pretend that the bird's happy, it goes like this. We do have a lot of hip roll, so you got to be really flexible with the hips. There's a lot of, stomping off the foot to the pace, so there's a lot of footwork in that. If you're doing a fusion style, you're doing a lot with the arms. You use the sari, you use a lot of turns, very free-flowing.
Many of the moves Bollywood is famous for are borrowed from other similar styles. Bhangra is one form that Bollywood simply wouldn't be the same without.
Bhangra started off in the early 14th and 15th century during the Harvest Festival. Over time, Bhangra was performed during celebrations such as weddings, birthdays, or anniversaries, and is being incorporated into mainstream music.
The kids want the English music. When we mix traditional and Western, everybody loves the music and everybody like start dancing.
In Bhangra, they use a lot of the shoulder, and it's more of the arms and the torso. So they don't focus really too much on the legs, but it's more what you do with the upper body. If you've seen a lot of Bhangra move, they use the finger up and they use a lot of shoulder.
India's cultural diversity is second only to the continent of Africa. So if Bollywood steals a few Bhangra moves to enhance its appeal, no one is going to be too worried. It just makes Bollywood an uber unbeatable unifying force.
It definitely is hot. There's a lot of hip movement and it's a lot of feel-good energy. What really turns me on about the style is I'm able to kind of explore and, you know, get into other cultures, get into other styles. There is an intensity because it is something that you feel from within. If there is emotion, it definitely has to be intense.
Bollywood dancing, India's contribution to the world of human motion. Seriously sexy and heart-poundingly exotic, which is why it's number 4 on Uberguide's countdown of the hottest dances. The Caribbean is famous for its sexy beaches and tropical breezes. It's no surprise, then, that the same region of the world responsible for such beauty in nature is also where the super spicy salsa comes from. This red-hot couples dance is number 3 on our Uber Boogie list.
Salsa is just really, really sexy and really hot.
It's a fun party club dance that anyone and everyone can do.
Definitely more cheeky, it's flirtier. We just met. Let's get to know each other. Let's have fun. This isn't serious. Like, we're just gonna have a good time.
Salsa is scorching. The moves made by these dancers are enough to drive any red-blooded human to distraction. And that's the idea.
A lot of the movements are just very sort of caressing and loving, and then they're hot, and then they're angry.
You get this lovely intimacy when you dance and the romance, and of course, we know that leads to phone numbers, and that leads to dates, and that leads to a bunch of other stuff.
Kind of like a foreplay. It's like, you know, you tease me, I tease you, you know, going back and forth and stuff. So I think that's what makes it so sexy and so hot.
With roots in Cuba and Puerto Rico, the salsa has plenty of Latino heritage. New York City was the central hub of the dance's development in the 60s and 70s, but now salsa has moved into the mainstream. Today, the salsa world's spiritual home is found in Miami, site of the annual Hustle and Salsa competition.
It's an opportunity to get dressed up and do my makeup and go out and dance and just have a good time.
Miami's love affair with salsa is best illustrated by the explosion of poolside parties that often evolve into impromptu dance festivals. The backbone of salsa is a complex African percussion rhythm that fuels the passionate dance. But you better be ready to work up a sweat, because these tunes will really move you.
The music lends itself well to being a sexy or sensual kind of dance.
The dance is interactive. You're actually holding, you're dancing, you're expressing the music.
I hear the music and I just get all excited and I just like really can get into it, you know?
Listen to the music, and it has this deep-rooted drum kind of pop. It becomes raw and hot. And if I want to swivel, I can go swivel here and make all of this happen. You know, physically, they just get right into it and they'll do whatever, and it's so open. I think that's what makes it sexy.
Salsa dancers typically don't need a lot of room to spin their magic. Those that cruise a little too far on the dance floor aren't looked upon too kindly by their fellow swinging couples. Staying in place and rocking to the music is the idea.
It's a lead and follow dance, you know, so the guy is in charge of you and you have to just relinquish control and let him guide you through the dance.
To truly find the heart of salsa, both the male and female dancers have to use every bit of their bodies to writhe in time to the beat.
This shoulder raises as this hip raises and goes down. So there is 2 rotations happening here. What he does is that he raises his shoulder as he steps to the side, rolls his shoulders. That causes the knee to roll. He gets his hip coming forward and he rotates it back. Do that again. He goes in and out, in and out. And when you get them together, and you see both bodies doing that, this is the action you get. Countering, you know, it goes opposition.
And yeah, you won't learn these moves overnight.
Now, of course, she's been training since she's 3.
It could be funny, it could be sexy, it could be dramatic, passionate. It can be anything you want it to be.
And once you start dancing salsa, it's just addictive. You know, it's so addictive, and you just can't get enough of it.
For its spicy moves and its eye-tempting sensuousness, salsa twirls in at number 3 on our sizzling dance countdown. Next, incendiary legwork at the legendary Moulin Rouge as Uberguide closes in on the world's hottest dance. Uberguide's search for the world's hottest dances has reached the world's sexiest city, Paris, and the number 2 spot on our countdown. Although love is constantly in the air in Paris, for generations this storied place has also inspired that other emotion that's constantly mistaken for love, lust. Nothing illustrates this better than the Moulin Rouge, the spiritual home of the can-can. The roots of the can-can can be traced back to the 1830s. It was a style created and perfected by the working classes. For many, it was an erotic escape from their difficult lives.
Sometimes the can-can was danced with no knickers, so it was even more scandalous.
It was so scandalous, in fact, that the name, the can-can, was chosen to describe it.
The can-can means rowdy. In English, rowdy, because people were screaming, you know, and jumping and making a lot of noise while they were dancing the can-can.
The Moulin Rouge, a cabaret opened in 1889, really kicks the can-can into hyperdrive. Founded by uber-rich Parisian Joseph Aller, he poured money into the music hall in a big way.
He went all around the boulevard and saw this place, and he said, okay, I'm going to paint everything in red, put a red windmill, you know, and I want to call it the Moulin Rouge because the windmill, the red windmill is on the roof, and I want to make it a temple for all the French women.
And since those risque early times, the Moulin has evolved to become one of the best-known music halls in the world.
It is really a big honor for us, you know, to receive people from all over the world to show our dance, the French can-can.
The can-can itself is a very complex dance. If you're not in tip-top shape, you won't be doing this for long.
Steps in the can-can are quite nothing like anyone's been trained for. Most of in ballet we all turned out. Can-can is all turned in with the feet. Lots of plie when we kick when we're normally up stretched. And lots of kicks and basically cartwheels and jump splits as well, which is very hard on the body. Training for the can-can, we all start on 4 weeks, and that's 6 days a week. It's quite intense because none of us have usually done the can-can before. It's quite difficult. You have to be quite supple. Basically, it's 2 hours each day of technique training, and then after that, you train for choreography and stuff.
Can-can was made by non-dancers, so they took things from their time and made it into a dance, like steps called the mayonnaise, which is the leg that turns around, the port d'arme, which is the leg straight up. You have the cathedral. The girls are making the roof of a cathedral with the legs. So everything is based on these people's lives at the time.
The costumes are visually stunning.
A lot of rhinestones, a lot of feathers. It will shine. Huge hats worn by beautiful girls.
However, the audience's eyes are often looking at something other than those fancy costumes. Many of the numbers include topless dancers. Not just anyone can get up on stage and do these kinds of moves.
To be a can-can dancer, you will have to have a strong technique, be quick, be flexible, do cartwheels, of course a split.
To be a can-can dancer is such a privilege, really. I mean, there's so much history at the Moulin Rouge. You know, it's where the can-can originated, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's so hard, but it's very rewarding. And to hear the audience reaction coming back to you, it's just so much fun.
even if now we put knickers when we dance the coco, because I'm sure the dancers, you know, won't dance. But yes, it is very, very, very erotic.
The can-can dance is more cheeky. Just lifting up the skirt and showing the knickers and all very cheeky, playing on, and the reaction of the crowd is quite, you know, cute and giggling and stuff, and they love it. It's the most popular dance in the show.
The can-can performed at the world-famous Moulin Rouge in Paris. Cheeky, sensual, wild, and definitely hot. It swings in at number 2 on our Dance Uber list. Next, grab your fire extinguisher, because Uberguide has finally reached the number 1 spot on our countdown of the world's hottest dances. Uberguide's countdown of the hottest dances has traveled the world in search of the moves that will raise your eyebrows, quicken your pulse, and set your heart on fire. Now it's time to reveal the burning hot pinnacle of our list. We've rubbed up against some super sexy styles and techniques, but nothing is more arousing than burlesque, which is why it's number 1.
Very hot. Steaming. Boiling. It's really hot.
For me, it's hot because it's sexy without being vulgar.
A style with roots in the 19th century, burlesque was originally all about slapstick comedy and risque music with a suggestion of skin. But eventually, the sensuality hinted at became the norm as entertainers worked to keep the audiences coming. A crackdown during the Prohibition era kept burlesque away from the masses, but it's made a strong comeback. Las Vegas is now action central for those with a penchant for musical comedy and a little sex. Okay, a lot of sex. Caesar's Palace is home to the Pussycat Dolls Lounge, situated next to Vegas's largest nightclub, Pure. The Dolls mix the glamour of Hollywood with sultry singing and some downright nasty dancing. The walls of the lounge are plastered with pics of celebs that have bared their wares in true doll fashion. If the dolls won't do it for you, then it's off to Mandalay Bay, where tucked away discreetly is Ivan Kane's 40 Deuce nightclub. Crowned best burlesque in Las Vegas, the 40 Deuce Club in Sin City is an extension of the brand begun in Hollywood by Ivan Kane.
The concept is just strictly burlesque, an easy jazz club with a burlesque dancer. We've modernized all of our choreography. Every dancer's different. I do a show which starts off slow, gets a little fast by the end of the night. Gloves and boas start flying, and we hang on the beads, we spin on the ring, we interact with the audience, and it's a cool, chill vibe. It's a great night.
This burlesque show has the very best bodies in town.
No competition. Our dancers are handpicked from Ivan Kane. It's sexy with a twist. No one's buying drinks while you're dancing. They can, but there's this captivated thing about each dancer that works here. I'm drawing you in to see if I'm gonna kick my leg or if I'm just gonna look. And when people watch, it's like they can't do anything but watch. And then when you're done, they're just like, wow.
But if you're in search of some full frontal action, then the MGM Grand's Crazy Horse Paris show is for you.
I would describe this show in a cabaret style, but completely different to your typical cabaret. It's more about the woman and focusing on her body in comparison to feathers and top hats. I mean, we do have one top hat, but for a solo. But it's a completely different style to the normal cabaret show, so.
Crazy Horse Paris has no American dancers. There's no plastic surgery enhancement allowed, and the dancers must have a 34B chest.
We are dressed by the lights. When you see these shapes on our body and the way it forms on us, it's like a strip tease, but completely different with lights. So you never really do see, and it gives such a sexy feeling and style to the show. We never interact with the audience. It's a show on stage, so the people have a big illusion of us up there, and they are teased. They're teased, but they can't touch.
Illusion or not, is anything hotter than this? And then there's the cambray position. Imagine sitting in on this practice session.
One of the things I'll look back on in my life when I'm 80 and I'm sitting there with my big red hat and my red shoes and I'm going, God, Wasn't it great to be the sexy hot dancer at 40 Deuce the whole time? It's the hottest of whatever you're gonna see. I'm telling you.
The uber sexy moves and sultry style of burlesque certainly cranks up the arousal meter, which is why it tops Uberguide's search for the world's hottest dances. Nothing comes even close. Ow. Dance reveals emotion like no other form of physical expression. It's a passionate dialogue between partners, the erotic flirtation of performer and audience, a space where the body can express forbidden desires. Dance can burn, sizzle, and electrify. And when it reaches the boiling point, you've stepped into Uberguide's countdown of the world's hottest dances.